What up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dude. And we're here to present you our NBA shoot around for Wednesday, November 28th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out the website at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we got everything. We're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure and check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
What's up, man? I'm good. I'm real good.
Yeah, man. Tonight in NBA was an absolute disaster. Every game pretty much went opposite of what we expected. Man, and that was pretty much everybody did bad. It was a crazy night for sure in NBA. So let's bounce back and let's get a good start to this Wednesday breakdown, bro. If you're ready to go, I'm ready to go.
What do you say? You're ready to bury today? I'm ready to bury today too, bro. Move on.
Yeah, that's what I said. Let's start fresh and make tomorrow a good start.
I'm pretty sure that Domantas Sabonis was the top player tonight, and I don't think he was very owned in anything. And I think like at one point I text you that he needed 4 points to be the highest player on the slate, and that was to get like 49 points. So this slate was a bust, like all the way across.
Yeah. No, definitely. It definitely was. Bad night tonight. Overall, NBA sucked. So, yeah, man, I'm ready to go. Let's just get into this. We'll start first game first. It's going to be New York Knicks. They're going to be on the second end of a back-to-back going into Philadelphia to face the 76ers. This game has a 227.5 implied total, and Philadelphia is favored by 12.5 in this one.
Yeah, so this rookie, right? That's the talk of the night. Obviously, Alonzo Trier going off for 40 plus fantasy points tonight, 43.5 against Detroit. This dude comes out of nowhere. I actually had exposure to him in tournaments, but I had exposure to him just as a pivot off of Langston Galloway as a pump play at the shooting guard spot. So, I mean, I wasn't really looking for him to get 43.5, but he saved a lot of my lineups that I had max entered in. So, this guy, he's been a guy you can play in certain spots. I definitely didn't think that he was going to get 43.5 tonight. But he's starting to play really well. He's a young kid. I think, 3,700, if you want to use him as a drop spot, I don't have a problem with it, but don't go chasing 43.5. That's the only words of advice I'm going to give you there. Like, don't think this dude's going to put up 43 fantasy points every single night. It's not going to happen. The Knicks as a whole are a mess. This dude just happened to be hot and knock down shots tonight. I kind of watched a lot of this game because I was way overexposed to Blake Griffin too. So Tim Hardaway Jr. sound like a broken record. It's the one guy. His price just keeps staying steady at 7,000. I believe he had 28 fantasy points in the first half alone tonight. Ended up with 32.7. I'm sorry, he had 22 fantasy points in the first half. Only got 10 in the second half. I don't really know what happened there. 6 of 16 shooting probably is the answer. So. I don't really want any exposure to this Knicks team for any cash purposes. For tournaments, Tim Hardaway's fine. Enes Kanter continues to be fine. Trey Burke, if you want to take just understand these guys you're loading up, they're upside plays only. That's what you're loading them in tournaments for, is the upside if they get the minutes and the rotation stays somewhat predictable. But that's a problem. It's not predictable, and it hasn't been for a very long time. So that's where I'm at, man. New York. Load them up in tournaments. It's the usual cast of characters that you can do it with, but know that it's tournament plays only and you're looking for upside.
Yeah, I mean, and then on the Philadelphia side of things, I mean, I don't have much interest, to be honest. And the main reason is I think this game's going to be a blowout. The Knicks are on the second end of a back-to-back going into Philly. Vegas has it projected as a blowout as well. So, I mean, these guys are not cheap. You got Ben Simmons, 9,500, Jimmy Butler, 87, and then Embiid, 11,000. So I just don't know if those guys can get me to, what I need value-wise. before, if the game does turn into a blowout, before they come out, they don't play no more. On the flip side, I definitely think that all three guys you could play in GPP, because if the game happens to stay close, even just going into the fourth quarter, and these guys get their regular run, I mean, they all have really good upside. My order on the three big guys for Philly would be Embiid first, and then I would probably go Simmons, and then Jimmy Butler, and then you can also throw in JJ Redick. I mean, he's their best scorer, he's their shooter, the guy they need to. He shoots 7, 8 threes a game pretty much, and he's been consistent. This price tag, we need about 26, 27 for value. He's averaging 20, almost 27 on the season, so I definitely think he can get you there. And outside of those four guys, I mean, that's really where I'm at. The only other thing you could possibly look at a minimum price, TJ McConnell, if you think it's for sure going to be a blowout, he's going to get minutes. But for me, he's just not getting the minutes. I'm just going to stick to the four guys.
Yeah.
So that's about it. We'll move on to the next game. Next game, it's going to be where's it at? Oh, it's going to be Atlanta Hawks going into Charlotte to face the Hornets. This game has a 232.5 implied total. Charlotte's favored by 12. And I just wanted to note that Atlanta will be on the second end of a back-to-back as well.
So I told you guys these teams just played. They literally just played. And I told you guys the last time that they just played a few days ago that Kent Bazemore was a guy that killed against Charlotte. And he did just that, 34.3 fantasy points. He's averaging 33.7 fantasy points dating back to last year against Charlotte. It's a guy I like a lot again. Same spot. I'll look to load up Kent Bazemore. Kevin Huerter, it just depends on minutes, and now his price is getting at 4,000. He doesn't really have enough upside to play for me in tournaments. 9.7. He kind of sticks at this 18, 19 is kind of his ceiling right now. So if he's minimum value, you could look to play him as a drop spot, but I'm not playing him at 4,000. And I really just don't want much to do with this Atlanta team, to be honest with you. I really don't. DeAndre Bembry, Tyron Prince, they're not playing at a high level at all. John Collins, I just think I said last night when his price went from 5,000 to 6,700 that it was too much of a jump, and then we open everything up for tonight's slate and see he's gone up another $500 off a mediocre game tonight at 23.8 fantasy points. So this dude's 7,200. I just don't want any part of that either.
Yeah, and then on the Charlotte side of things, there's three guys I'm really going to look at. Three guys, that's about it for me. First thing first, we always talk about we love Kemba Walker at home. He's going to be matched up against Trae Young, who doesn't play defense. I like Kemba Walker a lot in this spot. Definitely think that he can have a monster game. Last time he played Philadelphia, he scored you 46 fantasy points, went off for 29 actual scoring points. I like him in this spot a lot. Then you can look at Jeremy Lamb. It's always been about minutes with him. When he gets minutes, he produces. Right now, he's getting the minutes for the most part, and he's definitely producing. He's giving you a solid floor. I like Jeremy Lamb a lot. Up-tempo game against Atlanta. I expect him to definitely jump all over Atlanta on the second end of a back-to-back. And then I'm going to keep playing Nicholas Batum. 5,400, dirt cheap for this guy. We need about 26 for value. He's averaging 24 on the season. And, he's playing a ton of minutes. He's a guy that fills up the stat sheet. He's just not really scoring the ball, actually scoring the ball. He's doing his secondary. He's playing defense. He's a guy that could score 25 points on a night, actual scoring points. And if he does, it would be a monster night on his price tag. So for GPP, I'll play a little bit more Batum. But that's it for me. I'm just going to really stick to Walker, Lamb, and Batum, and that's about it.
Cool.
Next game, we got Utah going into Brooklyn to face the Nets. This game, we don't have a Vegas line or over and under yet. Waiting on some injury news still. Yo.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and get us started with that Utah side of things, bro.
I thought you were going to get into a little bit more. I was waiting on you.
No problem.
Hey, what's up with Utah, dude? They play a good game and they get
I can tell you
in the mouth.
I can tell you exactly what's up. You want to know the exact truth? I heard a couple people talking about this the other day, and it makes absolute sense. All right? So check this out. Last year, you know how Utah was a pace down team?
Mm-hmm.
They would come, they would get Gobert, they would get Derek Favors, two really good big guys, set up down low, run a half court offense with Rubio, and they were a slow paced team. They played good defense, and that's how they won games. This year, they're trying to play in an up tempo offense, but they have the exact same personnel they had last year when they did good in a slow tempo offense. Like they didn't have like no like major guys come in, they're super fast, that like speeds up the offense. And so now they're trying to be a completely different team, pretty much trying to be a fast paced team and run, but with the same personnel of a slow team that was successful from last year. Does that make sense? So
I
if
mean,
you
they're
think
not.
about
Yeah, they're
defense
not
wise,
doing.
they're not
Because
getting in the half.
Indiana's like a kryptonite.
What happened?
I said they're not playing terrible. It's just they've had a couple of terrible, and Indiana seems to be their
Yeah, but
kryptonite.
they've
I
been
mean,
losing against a couple of like weaker teams, and even when they squeeze it out, like against teams that they should just absolutely block, like they're just not playing good, and it makes sense too because if they're trying to play a faster pace and get up and down more, they're not getting back and they're not setting up on defense. So that's another reason why their defense isn't as good as it was. So I think that's a really good theory that makes sense, but let's not
I
get.
mean, the only bad team that smacked them though is Dallas. Dallas 9-9. I mean, the Pacers are sneaking up on everybody. They're 13-8. They're fourth in the East. They smacked the crap out of Utah though twice, like 30-point wins and 33 points. They lost last night by 33. So if that's a deal, I get it. Trying to be a pace up team. I mean, that kind of eliminates a lot of people you want to play for them too, though. I mean, that explains why Derek Favors gained his minutes are kind of all over the place.
I mean, they're trying to play Crowder more because Crowder could get up and down.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally, to me, I like Joe Ingles a lot in this game. I like Joe Ingles a lot. 5,800. I like Joe Ingles anytime he's sub 6,000. He does have 6x upside at 5,800 for sure. See what's going on with Donovan Mitchell. $8,000, $7,900 price tag, I think is very fair in this one. This should be a fun game, especially if Utah's going to try to go fast. There should be a lot of points scored in this one, I would think. So I mean, there's some guys I like here. I think Ricky Rubio is probably playable in this one as well. So you could look at Ricky Rubio, at 6,800. He'll be an off the board GPP play. When I say off the board, it means you're going to get him with probably a low owned, diminished ownership. Donovan Mitchell, probably a pretty good spot, sub 8,000. And Joe Ingles, I like Joe Ingles a lot. Jay Crowder is always in play, man. This guy's in tournaments. Jay Crowder is always in play for the simple fact that he has 30-point upside. He can get you 40. So Jay Crowder, and he's going against an Eastern Conference team. The guy is from the Eastern Conference, played the majority of his career over there until he was traded to Utah last year. So it's a familiar opponent in Brooklyn, a familiar arena. The guy's been there a lot. So shooters like familiar scenery, and the guy, that's a big part of his game is being able to knock down threes. So I like him. I'll avoid Favors and I'll avoid Rudy Gobert, but I do think that 4 of those starters are in play. Ingles, 3 of the starters, and then Crowder coming off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, on the Brooklyn side of things, I only like 2 guys, so I'm just going to keep it short and simple. I'm not playing no big men against Favors and Gobert. The only 2 guys I like, you got to like Dinwiddie. The guy's getting, a ton of usage. He's getting close to 30 minutes a game right now, and he's filling up the stat sheet. He's been very consistent. He's a guy that does a little bit of everything. So I do like Dinwiddie, and then you can also look at D'Angelo Russell, 7,700. The guy's coming off a 60 burger. I mean, they're starting to give him a little bit more minutes right now with ever since LeVert's been out, and the guy's definitely been on fire. So definitely think he's a GPP play. I would probably have to say I like Dinwiddie a little bit more. I like the price tag a little bit more reasonably. But both of those 2 guys are in play, and that's really all I'm looking at on the Brooklyn side of things.
Yeah.
Cool. Next game we're going to go with is going to be Washington Wizards going into New Orleans to face the Pelicans. This game has a 241 implied total, and New Orleans is favored by 6 in this one.
So Dwight Howard's out still. I don't know what he's dealing with, but Dwight Howard's out tomorrow. So we don't have to worry about figuring any of that out.
His butt hurts.
I really, bro, I need it. I really need to get, I want this video. I just want Dwight Howard walking with his trans. gender girl, and I want to hear Kawhi's. I just want to hear it, dude. I think that, like, dude, I need that Kawhi video. Like, so anything that's off the wall like that, I can just make a little video. So you just show the funny thing, and then Kawhi laughing at it.
Yeah. All right, so get us started on the Washington side of things, bro.
I mean, I think I don't know what's going on, man. I'm kind of I don't know what to do here because they played a decent game against Houston. I mean, they played a decent game against Houston. They really did. They got up and down the floor. John Wall was decent. Brad Beal was decent. Otto Porter was even decent for a while. Oubre played decent basketball. This dude Thomas Bryant played okay. I think you can go back to Thomas Bryant. I don't mind playing Thomas Bryant at 3,500 with Dwight Howard out. I mean, the guy's played. He's played decent. I mean, and he's gonna
put you guys up on game the first night, bro. Remember that?
Yeah, we threw Thomas Bryant out. That was during the day, wasn't it? Didn't we do it?
Yeah, we were doing an NBA live, and then okay, this guy I like right here, and then sure enough, he got his 22 that night.
But I mean, I think you can play this dude again. It's just but the one guy I think you can keep looking at every time Dwight Howard is out is Markieff Morris. I just don't like that he's all the way up to 6,500. That's just ridiculous price for him, and I just don't know if I can pay 6,500 for Markieff Morris. I think the guy can get you 30 in this spot. 6,500 is a steep price for this guy. It's a steep price for this guy. So,
hey, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you. Did you hear that Beal wants to be traded?
Oh, that's old news, bro. That's like a week old.
He's going to the Lakers. You heard it from me first.
But you're like the last one to say it because they spent the entire game last night talking about that he was going to be going to the Lakers.
Oh, did they really? I didn't even watch it.
They spent like the entire first quarter talking about the Lakers. But the thing is about him going to the Lakers, without getting off track, we'll just spend a couple minutes on this. Who do you give up for Bradley Beal? Honestly, who are you giving up?
You're giving up Caldwell Pope. He's in the trade because we're going to let go.
Who wants Caldwell? Okay, so I'm Washington, and I'm saying I have Bradley Beal under contract for a lot of money, and you're going to give me old-ass Kentavious Caldwell Pope and his contract?
No, but somebody else too. Yeah, I don't know, but I think they're going to figure out a way to do it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. The only way the Lakers get Bradley Beal is if Washington says we're going to blow the entire thing up and we want draft picks because that's the one thing the Lakers can do.
Let me ask you this question. If Bradley Beal, because he's going to be a free agent, if he tells us, I'm a Lakers fan, that he will re-sign with us in the offseason if we trade for him, would you give up Josh Hart for him?
Yeah, but if I'm Washington, why do I want Josh Hart and Kentavious Caldwell Pope?
No, I know. Well, I'm not talking about Caldwell Pope no more. I'm just talking about Josh Hart. But Josh Hart was a rookie, the summer league. People like that dude. I'm just saying, a young core and a pick. Why not?
Where did you see he's going to be a free agent?
I seen a list. I'll find it. I seen a list of everybody that's going to be a free agent next year.
I'm pretty sure he's not going to be a free agent. Now, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure he signed like a $120 million contract last year because he could. Him and DeMar DeRozan are in the same free agent class, and the Lakers wanted both of them. Talking about they're both LA kids, and they want to get the especially DeMar DeRozan. And Bradley Beal signed a big ass contract.
Hey, let's jump into this because I don't want to make this too long, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, so that's it, man. I'm not paying $6,500 for Markieff Morris. You could play Bradley Beal and John Wall here, and that's to me that's really it. Prices went up. I'm not interested. I think the game will be close. If you're gonna pay up for anybody, it's got to be Beal and it's got to be John Wall.
Yeah, and then on the north side,
dude, this dude's not a free agent until 2021, bro. He's making $27 million a year.
Oh, okay. I'm tripping then. For some reason, I thought it was – I seen a whole list of hella free agents. For some reason, I thought
that's why I'm saying, like, you're going to have to give up Brandon Ingram probably, which I'm okay with that.
I'd rather give up Lonzo than Brandon Ingram.
If I'm Washington, I really want Lonzo, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, and Josh Hart. No.
Fuck Lonzo. But, all right. So, anyways, this okay on the New Orleans side of things. I mean, you look obviously. Drew Holiday's been playing out of his mind right now, playing point guard with no Alfred Payton. Gotta like him anytime he's on the slate. Last game he didn't have a bad game against Washington. He just didn't get the 20 to 25 points that we're used to him actually scoring. Would hit value fine. I like him in this spot. Definitely think he's gonna have a much better game at home. I'm gonna start with him. Small forward, you got to keep going to Miricic. He's their he gets a ton of rebounds. He's one of their it's him, Davis, and Holiday are their top three scorers for the most part. They need them guys to score, plus Etuan Moore. And then you got Randall coming off the bench. Outside of those five guys, where's their scoring really coming from? He's been on fire from the three-point land, shooting a ton of threes. They play the guy a ton of minutes as well. I think you can go right back to the well with Miricic. Then you got Etuan Moore. Like I said, the guy, he exploded for 30 points against Philadelphia not that long ago. So he's showing us he does have some upside. They play this guy a ton of minutes. Even when he played Washington last time, he scored 19 actual points, got 6 steals. This is kind of an outlier. You can't expect him to get 6 steals again, but he does have some upside. The only thing is I feel like he's a little bit more scoring dependent, and that's why I just kind of wanted to show his upside that he can score, 25, 30 actual points. I like him tomorrow. I think it's going to be a very fast-paced, up-tempo game, a lot of points scored. Obviously, Vegas thinks the same thing. And then Anthony Davis, he's the obvious guy. You look at him. I mean, who do the Washington who do they really have is going to guard Anthony Davis? They have nobody that can match up against Anthony Davis. I think that Anthony Davis is going to have an absolute field day tomorrow. I think that he's honestly one of the top players on the board. I really like Anthony Davis. The only problem with him is that, you always got to be worried if he's going to get hurt or not. Lastly, you look at Randall. I mean, Randall's playing very well as well. We always like Randall more whenever Anthony Davis isn't playing. He gets the minutes, but he definitely still has some upside. Price tag is fair. We need about 35 for value, and I definitely think that he can get us that in an up-tempo matchup against Washington, and that's really where I'm at.
Move on.
Next game we're going to talk about is San Antonio Spurs going into Minnesota to face the Timberwolves. This game has a 217.5 implied total, and Minnesota is favored by 4.5 in this one.
I mean, it could be early, and maybe I'm not there yet, but DeMar DeRozan's the only guy I'm interested in playing on the San Antonio side. This list could grow as I get into my research, but DeMar DeRozan 8,800 seems like a good matchup. Wiggins, he's got to be playing against Wiggins. That's really it for me. I mean, you could get Rudy Gay in this one. He let everybody down the other night. If you want to go back to the well there, fine. But as of right now, I don't have a lot of interest in the San Antonio side.
So no Aldridge?
Not interested. I don't. I mean, I think there's certain spots to play this dude. Not for 8,500.
Yeah, no, I get you. That's all I was just asking. I just definitely. So, I mean, start with Minnesota. I mean, I like both. I mean, they have them listed both as point guards, but they play a lot together. You got Teague and Derrick Rose, both still very fair price. And like I said, I mean, they've been doing solid. Teague's been playing well. I like this combo they got with Teague and Rose. I think it's a really good combo. Both guys are very similar. They can score the ball, drop some dimes. Both been playing well, so I definitely think you start with them. Both of them are playing well. Then you go to Wiggins. Wiggins is the guy. I don't know. I don't really like Wiggins. This is the thing is he's just been so inconsistent. If I was gonna play, this guy's 6,500. These two are 69 and 65. If I was gonna play anybody from Minnesota and they're all around the same price, definitely one of these two guys over Wiggins. Strictly GPP for me. Covington's a guy, since coming over to Minnesota. He's been doing decent. Definitely, he's been playing well. He's getting some minutes. He's getting a ton of minutes. 37, 35, 38. He's always on the floor. He's getting those defensive stats, playing well. Covington's a guy I definitely think you can look at for GPP. And then the situation with Gibson and Saric. I mean, they're kind of splitting minutes. So I'm staying away from those guys. And then you got Towns, 9,900. I mean, Aldridge is not a real center. They're playing Aldridge at center. I think this is a spot. I think this is one of those spots where Towns could have an absolute monster game. I like Towns in this spot. Like I said, if he's matched up against against Aldridge, I definitely think he can have a great game. So for me, I mean, my favorite plays are going to be Teague, Rose, Covington, strictly GPP, and then you got Towns. I think Towns is a really good play, and that's it for me, man.
Hey, bro. So I wanted to look this up and just see what was going on with Washington, right?
Huh.
Wall just signed an extension too for $170 million.
Yeah.
So this dude's not even a free agent for another 5 years.
And then Bill for
$37 million a year, and Bill's locked up. So I don't. And then the one guy that is going to be a free agent is Contavious Caldwell-Pope. That guy's. This is it. Like the Lakers' expiring contract for them. So he's more attractive now that I know that. I mean, for Washington, because they'll get the veteran exception, and then they'll get the salary cap. Whatever they call that when the trade exception. They'll get a trade exception by getting him. So I don't know, bro. I don't know if he's going to go to LA.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving. And John Johnson, I did mention I really do like Aldridge. I think Aldridge is a really good play against Towns. He was talking about that in the chat. Definitely think that he's a good play. Patty Mills, he's just got too inconsistent for me. Not somebody I'm really looking at personally.
I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I'm gonna put everybody up on something real quick. Montrezl Harrell at 8,300, who eats every single team who has little guys. They got Phoenix has Ayton, and Ayton's a starter. Harrell comes in off the bench and mops up all these little dudes. So 8,300 for Harrell, 12,500 for Anthony Davis, and a cherry spot against Washington. Or you want to pay 8,500 for a power forward who's old going against Karl Anthony Towns? No, stay away.
Yeah.
Move on.
So anyways, we'll move on. Next game we're going to talk about is going to be Chicago Bulls going into Milwaukee to face the Bucks. This game has a 228 implied total, and Milwaukee's favored by 13.5 in this one.
Yeah, so I mean, we always start with the same guy here, and that's Zach LaVine, $8,700. He has to, if Chicago's going to be in any type of a competitive game, it has to be through Zach LaVine, the guy whose price is now up there and probably fair and equal to what his performance has been is Justin Holiday. The guy's been playing very well as of late. I like Justin Holiday a lot. You see the last three, 49.6, 38.7, 33.2. He was doing this, like I told you guys at the night when I brought him up at 5,000 and 5,500. Now he's up to 6,500. I'm not sure I want any part of that. But this little dude right here, man, this is the play for me on the Bulls side, really, because this guy just keeps producing. Obviously, he has a dud against Minnesota with 7.2. But we're talking about a guy who's been at pretty much minimum value, putting up 25, 20, 32.8. This guy's a tournament play only, but he's got a ton of upside, which is why I like him a lot for tournaments. I don't want any part of anything they've got to do with Jabari Parker. I know it's a narrative game. I get that. We've already seen this thing play out before. Power forward spot, Wendell Carter Jr. just not doing enough, and now his price is starting to come down. The minutes are all over the place. The production's all over the place. 18-7, 22-1, 15-8, 23. If I load up Wendell Carter at 6,000 and he gets me any of these right here, he kills my line. So I'm going to stay away from this. I'm going to stay away from Chicago. Just don't want any part of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, now, Milwaukee side of things, you just look at the same guys we always look at. 4 guys you look at on Milwaukee. First thing first, Eric Bledsoe, very consistent point guard. He does a little bit of everything, fills out the stat sheet. I like him. Definitely think you can go right back to the well with him. Very fair price of $7,400. You got the best pure scorer, Middleton, $7,400 as well. These guys are fairly priced. I like him. He has a couple, you do want a little bit more at this price tag. But there's something like this, 27, 28 is not going to kill you. Definitely has 40 fantasy point upside. They're going to score a lot of points. This game's going to be back and forth. Got to look at Brogdon. Brogdon's playing very, very well. He's getting his minutes. This guy, I think he's a very, very underrated player. This guy's a really good player. I like this guy. And the price tag is just staying where it's at. And he's pretty much like a poor man Middleton. And he's been very consistent. So I definitely think Brogdon is in play. And then you look at Antetokounmpo, the man himself. This guy's an MVP candidate, playing very, very, very well. to start the season. He has triple-double upside any night. Definitely like him. It's just about if he's going to be able to get there before the game blows out. Last game against Chicago, played 31 minutes and got you 47 fantasy points. And we need a little bit more fantasy points on this kind of price tag. And that's the thing that's worrying me a little bit, but he's definitely in play. And that's about it for me. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Cool. Next game is going to be Dallas Mavericks going into Houston to face the Rockets. We're waiting on some injury news here, so we don't have an over-under or Vegas line yet. So go ahead and get us started with that Dallas side of things.
Man, this is another situation. I got all of the bum-ass teams, man. I don't like this situation either. I mean, okay, Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable, so the obvious is we get and can expect some uptick from JJ Barea if Dennis Smith Jr. doesn't play. If Dennis Smith Jr. does play, I mean, he's not doing a lot, right? I mean, he's got 2 30-point games here. That was at a higher price than 5,900. I want to say it was like 6,400, 6,500. He has not done anything really amazing. So I really don't want any part of Dennis Smith Jr. tomorrow, whether he plays, doesn't play. JJ Barea, I always like JJ Barea. I do, but we're getting up here at $4,700 where it's got to be a good situation. I will tell you this. It is a good situation, Bray, against Houston. He's always played well against Houston. Take a look at what he's done in the past against Houston. I'll pull that up real quick. I just had that up. Barea against Houston in the past. He's averaging right at 1 fantasy point per minute, about 24 minutes and 24 fantasy points. So if I know he's going to get an uptick and he's a point per minute player and he's going to play 30 minutes, I'm all over this. If there's no Dennis Smith Jr., I don't mind that price at $4,700 for your point guard too. It kind of puts him in the same area with a Patty Mills though, in that one. And you got to look at over, under, blowout possibilities, et cetera too. So shooting guard, we keep seeing this every single night with Doncic. I don't know why that every single night the guy's questionable and then he ends up playing. $7,800 seems like a lot for Doncic as well. The guy does have 40-point upside. I don't mind him in tournaments, but there's other spots that I'm looking to play. I'm just going to keep it real with you on that. Small forward, this dude Harrison Barnes. I know you like him. $6,400 for Harrison Barnes. This is kind of his upside too. It's 34, 35 points, and it's 6,500 for tournaments. We need 40 plus out of this guy, and I just don't think that's there either. So, power forward spot, they don't have one that's anybody I want to play. I'm not on Dwight Powell. If Powell's out, you can look at Kleber. But again, it's a drop spot play because he just doesn't have the upside. I mean, 23, that's his upside. That's against Oklahoma City. That's, kind of the 1 in a million. I remember last year where I played him in a almost identical spot. No Dwight Powell. I played him against Toronto and he had 50. But I'm not interested in that. And DeAndre Jordan, it's the one guy I don't mind playing here at 8,000. I think he's sneaky tomorrow night going against Clint Capella. DeAndre Jordan has always played well against Houston. He always played well against Dallas as well. The guy's from the area, so I don't mind playing DeAndre Jordan at 8,000. I think it's a sneaky play, but that's really where I'm at with this side of it. Nothing exciting on the Dallas side.
I mean, on the Houston side of things, you really can't really talk about much right now because we have to really wait and see if Chris Paul is out or not. I'm just going to take the scenario of Chris Paul being out. If Chris Paul is out again tomorrow, you go right back to the well. James Harden, 11.6, coming off the best game of the season for him so far. He's starting to really get hot. In 3 of the past 4 games, he scored at least 40 actual scoring points. And with no Harden, the usage rate is just through the roof. And he picks up – with no Chris Paul, the usage rate is through the roof. He's playing a ton of minutes, getting those assists are coming up. I definitely think right now is a perfect time to jump on James Harden while the price tag is still 11.6. It's fair. Like I said, man, I mean, you can see what he's doing. He's really starting to shoot the ball well. So this is a buy low opportunity, in my opinion, especially if there is no Chris Paul. Then I would love Harden tomorrow. Then you got, Eric Gordon. He's another guy. If Chris Paul is out, you go right back to the well with my dude. I mean, he's starting to shoot the ball well as well. Both of these guys are thriving right now with no Chris Paul. Past 2 games, Eric Gordon scored, the most he's had all season, 28, 36 actual scoring points. 35, 40 on a 5,500 price tag. No Chris Paul. You just lock this guy in and you move on. He'll be too cheap. And then the guy that you like, I played him last time. And, I was like, hey, my boy always talks about him. He's cheap. Played him. He didn't do nothing special, but he was only 3,500 and he got his 18. So it was value. We moved on. This is a guy who has 40 fantasy point upside. I like, all the Houston Rockets better because they all get extra shots and extra usage with no Chris Paul. So I definitely like Ennis. I think that you could throw him in as a cheap punt play. And that's really where I'm at. I'm not going to play Clint Capella 9,200 against DeAndre Jordan. Just not something that I'm looking to attack.
I think Chris Paul plays tomorrow for the simple fact that he was in his gear last night in Washington. He just didn't play. Usually, you're out, you're in street clothes. I think he plays tomorrow. I think that it's just tired old legs.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we're gonna go to the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Oklahoma City to face the Thunder. This game has a 216 implied total, and OKC is favored by 13. One thing I just wanted to note, man, hey, almost every single damn game on this slate has a really good possibility of a blowout.
It sure does. And a lot of these teams just played each other or have played each other this month. This is another situation. These two teams just played each other a couple weeks ago. I believe it was November the 7th. It was November the 7th. So, these are kind of some rematches, and they're ugly. The slate's pretty ugly, to be honest with you. But this dude, Russell Westbrook, anytime we get him at 11,000, it's too cheap. The guy's upside is through the roof. I like him in this spot at 11,000 just because I get it. Like you said, this game has a possibility of blowing out. It's one of them. But here's the deal. Cleveland's been competitive for at least 3 quarters in every game, and if Cleveland keeps it competitive for 3.5 quarters, then Russell Westbrook will have no problem getting you 66 fantasy points in a game like this against Cleveland. So to be honest with you, I kind of like the play. Like every game that we've had so far, I've liked the players on the other side of it, and this is really another one outside of Westbrook. And Steven Adams looks like he's an obvious play here at 7,400 going against Cleveland, but Tristan Thompson's been playing decent basketball. I think 37 points again last night. So I don't know how much I like Adams. I don't know how much I like Paul George or Schroeder. But I do like Westbrook. I do like Westbrook in this spot. I'm not sure how much yet. It's an ugly game, a really ugly game. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, on the Cleveland side of things, I mean, there's just a couple guys to look at. Obviously, we've been talking about Colin Sexton. The rookie's playing very well right now. I mean, he's doing his thing. He's definitely getting the minutes. He's playing, 30 minutes a game, and he's playing well. I like the guy. I think that Colin Sexton is in play tomorrow, still under 6,000. He's pretty much getting free reign. He can take as many shots as he wants. They're kind of opening it up to him. I think he's a good play. Strictly GPP, though. Jordan Clarkson, he's a guy hit or miss. He's been like that since the Laker days. If he gets some minutes, he can play well, but he can definitely have these bust games, 2, the 7s, and the 8s. So, I mean, you got to kind of just, go with your gut feeling with him. And then a guy that actually just exploded was Larry Nance. I mean, the guy, he didn't explode, but he had, 36 fantasy points, played 38 minutes. If he's going to play this many minutes, he's a fantasy points per minute kind of guy. And so, I mean, he definitely has some upside. It's all about the minutes with him. So, I mean, you got to kind of pay attention to news, see what you hear. If he's going to sometimes start, sometimes it comes off the bench. This guy in Cleveland, the coach doesn't even know what he wants to do right now. And then you talked about him, Tristan Thompson. He's playing very well. But this is the first time I've seen Tristan Thompson 7,000 or more in years. And that's the thing that's kind of scaring me away, especially going against Steven Adams. Steven Adams, we always talk about it. Big dude, very strong. I know he played OKC earlier in the year, 31 minutes, 10 and 15, so not too bad. But I still don't like the guy going against Steven Adams. One of them is going to get in foul trouble. The guy I really like on Cleveland is Sexton, and I'm not really going to look to play nobody else. Like I said, maybe a little bit of Larry Nance is what, 6,000.
Yeah.
Cool. Next game we talk about is going to be Orlando going into Portland to face the Blazers. Waiting on some injury news in this one, so we don't have a Vegas line or over and under yet.
I see on FanDuel they've got Nurkic as listed as a game time decision. We do not have him listed that way because he's probable. Bruised his shoulder in the second half of their previous game. So I fully expect Nurkic to play, meaning, Vucevic, this is the guy that I want to pay up for right now. You guys are talking about LaMarcus Aldridge in the chat. I know you think Aldridge is a good play tomorrow too. The thing you got to look at any slate is where do you want to spend up? And Aldridge is not a guy I ever want to spend up on. He's 8,000. I might entertain the thought. I'm completely against it, and I'll back it up here with Vucevic. There's way more upside with Vucevic in this matchup, who's averaged 47 fantasy points against Portland. You look at the guy's previous 7 games, 5 out of 7 times in his last 7 games, he's got 50-plus fantasy points, 50.6, 54.6, 56.5, 71.5 against the Lakers, 55.4 last night against Golden State. I was all over him last night. Had him in the majority of my lineups, got him at 9% ownership. I don't know if the industry is going to be on this guy tomorrow because of his recent performance, but this is a spot where he's in the 7 o'clock our time game, 10 o'clock Eastern game. The guy's playing at a super high level. Nurkic a little banged up even if he does play. Vucevic is just knocking down jump shot after jump shot after jump shot. There's a little bit of an underlining motivator here, I think. I think that Vucevic is a guy I believe is coming up on a free agent. He's going to be a free agent. And they drafted this guy, Mo Bamba. And these guys are not going to play together. They're not going to play together. It's been talked about. I saw it on ESPN being talked about today. I saw it on NBA Network talked about today. So I think Orlando and Vucevic, they're looking to move Vucevic, and Bamba's going to be their future. And this is a guy who could bring them a couple of first-round picks, and he's playing like a guy who wants to get traded to a team who wants a center. The guy's playing out of his mind right now. So this is a guy I would rather pay up for than spend $8,500 in my power forward spot. I'd rather spend up for a guy who's been on absolute fire recently and has good game history against his opponent. So I'm all over Vucevic. Aaron Gordon, we'll have to wait and see. But even at 7,800, I don't particularly like this matchup. He's not shooting the ball well. But I'll tell you what, I'll keep going back to the well. This guy, Terrence Ross at 4,800, I said it the other night, but when we previewed them going into Golden State, I said, load this guy up. He's a knockdown shooter, and he comes out and nails 35.2 fantasy points against Golden State last night. This guy's a great shooter. That's what he is. He's an assassin. The guy's a beyond-the-arc shooter. You can load him up against teams that are weak in perimeter defense. Terrence Ross is a guy I like to play. Fournier, he's too vanilla for me. There's not enough upside for me to play him in tournaments at all, especially in this matchup. Jonathan Isaac, if you want to take a look at this at 4,700, I just don't think that it's a good spot to play Isaac for the simple fact that they've got long defenders in Portland, and I just don't think it's a good matchup for this young guy. I don't. And that's really it for me. Vucevic is a guy I really want to play tomorrow. At this particular point, looking at the slate right now, just based on the fact the guy's on fire, and he's got good game history against Portland.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna, on the Portland side of things, I'm gonna start with the main man. You got Damian Lillard earlier in this season going against Orlando. He absolutely exploded. 36 minutes, he scored 47 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal for almost 60 fantasy points. Go right back to the well with this guy. It's going to be a very up-tempo game. I definitely really like Dame Dollar tomorrow. And then you can look at CJ McCollum, still under 7,000. Problem with him is he depends on scoring, and that's the big problem with him. He could definitely get there. In this matchup last time, he scored 28 fantasy points. We want more than 28 fantasy points at a 6,800 price tag. That's the problem. And he even scored 22 real-life points. So he scored points. He just didn't get us the other stats. So for him, I like Damian Lillard a lot more than McCollum in this spot. But at the price tag, I definitely think you can look at him. Evan Turner is a guy that's really been getting minutes. Nobody is he's getting 27 to 32, 33 minutes, and nobody's really playing him too much. I like Evan Turner. And then one guy I'm just gonna quickly mention, bro. If it's right now, Nurkic might be out tomorrow. Suffered a right shoulder contusion.
He's probable.
He's out.
No, he's probable.
Oh, he's probable. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. Well, if he I'm just saying, if he's out, if for some reason, I mean, if Nurkic plays tomorrow, then I definitely think he's in play. We talk about Vucevic, but we know Vucevic is an offensive player, not a really good defensive player. So Nurkic will be in play. If Nurkic is out, if he happens to get ruled out tomorrow, then the guy I'm going to go to, I'm just going to load him up, pump play, 100% lock for me. 3,800. Myers Leonard. He started the second half for Vooch when I'm sorry, not for Vooch, for Nurkic when he went out last game, and the guy had a very good game. 24 minutes, he got you 9, 16, and 3 for 30 fantasy points. On this price tag, if he gets you 30 fantasy points, you're killing it. I would love him if he starts tomorrow. So definitely got to keep an eye on the news. But my favorite overall player as of right now is going to be Damian Lillard.
One guy you have to mention, and it just feels like it to me on the Portland side, is Aminu, bro.
Oh, Aminu.
It's an Aminu game. This is an Aminu game. Long rebound. Hey, but the one thing, look, nobody between the two of us, nobody's been harder on Vucevic this season and pointing out that the guy doesn't like to rebound and he's an offensive player only. But I have to point this out. In his last 10 games, I'm just going to read you his rebound and assist lines. 12-6, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, 18 rebounds, 4 assists, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. This dude is on absolute fire, and he's rebounding the basketball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 10 times he's had at least 10 rebounds in his last 10 games. So this guy's playing on a different level right now. He just is.
Who is that?
Vucevic.
Oh, Vucevic. Okay. Yeah, so let's move on to his last game, bro. Last game of the night, we got the Phoenix Suns on the second end of a back-to-back going into LA to face the Clippers. This game has a 228.5 implied total, and the Clippers are favored by 12 in this one.
I'm not really interested in a lot here on the Phoenix side. I mean, $9,000 for Devin Booker. I'll play Drew Holiday instead of Devin Booker. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Devin Booker has not played well against the Clippers consistently in the past. He's had games against the Clippers in my recent memory where he's turned the ball over a lot and really struggled. 37.8, 45.3, 47.3 at $9,000. That's not even close to 6x where we need a 54 point total to get tournament value out of this guy. So I'm a huge Devin Booker fan, but in reality, but in fantasy, I can't really play him in this spot tomorrow. TJ Warren's a guy I can play though at 6,600. I like Warren a lot. I also don't have any problem playing Ariza. This guy Bridges, a lot of people like this guy at 4,200, but there's just not enough there, and there's not enough guys out. There's not enough going on for me to really have him on my radar at all tomorrow. There'd have to be something happen where you had TJ Warren all of a sudden not play or something like that to really look at Bridges. But I don't mind Ariza. I don't mind Warren. And I also really don't mind DeAndre Ayton. This guy's playing really well. He does have the upside to get us 6x in this spot. And he won't have to be going against Harrell very much. I mean, Harrell comes in with about 3.5, 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. I think Ayton will be out of the game by then. Harrell will eat up another 4 minutes in the second quarter. And then Harrell does close games out. So that's really the only spot where you're going to see Ayton and Harrell going at it. So I don't have a problem with Ayton in this spot at 7,500. But that's, really where I'm at with Phoenix.
Yeah, and then, on the Clipper side of things, bro, I'm just going to go straight to the two-headed monster they got going right now. Harrell and Tobias Harris are absolutely playing well together. These dudes are feeding off each other. They're both about 8,000, need about 40, 41 for value on both of them. But look what these dudes are doing, man. 36, 35, 35, 38, 38, 39. Okay, 25. Memphis is very good. 50. That's Harris, balling. And then we go to Harrell. You got 37, 42, 30, 31, 52, 49, 39, 30. You get the point. It was a guy you mentioned earlier. I really like both of these guys. They're both playing 34, 35 minutes a game. They're not really even playing with a center. They have a center start, but then, like you said, Harrell comes in and he gets the bulk of the minutes. So I love both of these guys going against Phoenix tomorrow. Like you talked about Ayton, I don't think Ayton's really going to play on either one of these guys. That's really their only big guy that they have with no more Tyson Chandler since he's to the Lakers now. So I like both of these guys a lot. Gallinari is a guy that's been playing very well. Strictly GPP, 7,000. You need about 35 for value. He is averaging 30 on the season, and he's got you at least 35 in 3 of the past 4 games. So definitely think you could look in here for GPP. And then, the point guard spot, you got Alexander and Beverly taking from each other. Shooting guard, you got Lou Williams. You can't play him no more because Avery Bradley's back. Avery Bradley's a little bit interesting because he's only 3,700. He gets defensive stats, and this guy's playing 31 to 33 minutes a game. So I definitely think he's a punt play. That's a really good pump play. You can use tomorrow. Avery Bradley does have 40 fantasy point upside. I've got it from him in past years. So I think that Avery Bradley is a really good play if he's going to be playing these kind of minutes at 3,700. And that's really it for me, man.
I think Avery Bradley is the top shooting guard number 2 on the slate tomorrow. And that's for a couple reasons. First, 32, 33, and 34 minutes in his last 3 games since coming back from the injury where he was only playing minutes in the 20s. And then you look 25.9 and 23.8 fantasy points in his last 2. And then I take a look. Obviously, the next thing I do is take a look at recent game history, 26.5 in his most recent game against Phoenix. So, he's the history's there to back up what he's currently doing. I think he's the best shooting guard number 2 on the slate. Pump play, drop spot, whatever you want to call it. But Avery Bradley is a premier play for me tomorrow in this spot. Interesting. A couple of interesting things about the Clippers that I'm not sure a lot of people really understand. If the season ended today, the Clippers are the number 1 seed in the West. They're not the old Clippers. Lou Williams is actually closing games out, so I don't have a problem going with Lou Williams either. Especially if you think Phoenix can keep this game close. But the interesting thing is they've got 8 guys that are averaging at least 7 real points per game. So they're really spread out as far as who scores for them. They're a really balanced young team, man. This is a good young Clippers team. And I got to tip my cap to Doc Rivers, man. This guy's done a really good job with a bunch of people that nobody is like, where'd this team come from? It's all basically the product of dealing away Blake Griffin. They lose DeAndre Jordan, etc. So Doc Rivers doing a phenomenal job with this team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's about all we got for this slate, man. I don't think I got anything else for this slate. I'm ready to get up out of here, eat some dinner. Thank you guys very much, though, for checking out this video.
Sound like you've been eating dinner the whole time over there, bro.
What happened?
Sound like you've been eating dinner over there the whole time.
I was eating a little bit of peanuts, man. So, but hey, tomorrow I'll be back with my NBA core plays for the day. Jeremy will be back with his GPP core plays over there on DFS Cheat Sheet channel, YouTube channel. Make sure and go check that out. Subscribe to that as well. Thank you guys very, very much for checking out this video. Good luck on your contest tomorrow in Fanduel and Draftkings. And, man, that's all I got for you guys. Peace out.